Hello, and welcome to our webcast, What's New in the EMS Platform, Fall 2017 Release. I'm Larry Goldman, Director of Product Marketing at EMS Software, and joining me today from our product management team are Thomas Allen, Matt James, and Prajwal Kulkarni. A couple housekeeping items as always. We plan for the webcast to run, let's say, 35 to 45 minutes. We'll have you muted the entire time, but your questions are important, and we've set aside some time at the end to receive those. So if you have a question at any time during the webcast, you can use the GoToWebinar Q&A box in the dialog that's there on your screen. Just enter the question, hit send, and we'll be monitoring those, and we'll get to as many of them as we can at the end. As usual, we will also send an email out about a day after the webcast once the recording has been posted, so you can share that on-demand recording with your colleagues, or you can watch it again. So here's an overview of what we're going to cover today. We'll start out discussing the EMS platform and recent updates to give us a level set for everyone. A lot of people are on different versions and have different interests, so we want to just make sure that everyone knows what our development team has recently completed. We'll also talk about 3 different use cases: self-service booking in Outlook, on-the-spot booking versus via the kiosk, as well as integrating with the EMS platform. And this will be the lion's share of what we're going to be presenting today with a couple live demos. We'll move into the considerations you'll need for whether or not to upgrade or when you upgrade, and we'll summarize and follow that with a Q&A session. So first, let's talk about our recent updates. In less than 2 years, EMS has had 4 major releases and over 20 minor updates. You can see the major releases listed here. In January and June of 2016, we came out with 2 very large releases. The first one for expert users, the second one for what we call everyday users. And these introduced a number of enhancements and features that had been requested for quite some time. They included automatic reports, user-defined functions, user-defined questions, as well as deployment by the web. In June, knowing that many of our customers are the self-service of their everyday users is a very important piece, we introduced the EMS mobile app, as well as we redesigned the EMS web app, formerly known as Virtual EMS. Now this year, only 3 months ago, we had another major release we called Spring 2017. In that, we again put out some features we know are required for our corporate customers who are doing a lot of self-service, wish to do self-service video conferencing. So we introduced Skype integration, as well as Exchange Room integration. We also updated the Room Sign, the EMS Room Sign app, formerly known as Glance, and we introduced the EMS platform services to improve how you integrate with custom and other software and hardware. So now here we go to the fall of 2017, and we have now introduced an upgrade to Outlook, EMS for Microsoft Outlook, an upgrade to our EMS Kiosk App, and we've further enhanced the EMS platform services. EMS offers an enterprise-class scheduling platform, and as such, it needs to be able to respond to the needs of large, complex organizations. So whenever our development team is working on new features or updating features, we really look at these 3 themes. Architecture has to be consistent across all of our access points and throughout EMS. And we continue to work on that as we move forward. Integrations, you're demanding new integrations, better integrations with hardware and software, and we're continuing to work on these and release these. And finally, the user experience, whether it's an expert user or whether it's a casual everyday user, they have to have an intuitive and natural user experience. It has to be an easy to use interface, and I think you're going to see some great stuff that we've done here in the fall release today. So Thomas, help us understand, when we released the spring release, we put an emphasis on self-service video conferencing. Can you give us a quick review on that?
Sure. So it was actually a main focus of our spring release, the idea of self-service video conferencing. We've seen at customer sites and talking to people, a lot of the third-party video conferencing systems are relying on Exchange as a method of enabling in-room conference services. So one module that we released in spring is called Exchange Room Integration. The concept is very, very simple. We actually have taken our Exchange integration further to allow the inclusion of Microsoft Exchange resource mailboxes. So those resource mailboxes may be configured with a Polycom device for a Microsoft Surface Hub, for Cisco device, etc. From our perspective, the end users, the everyday users, simply need to make a reservation, include the appropriate space in any EMS access point or client. And what we do on the back end is include that Exchange resource mailbox. So user walks into the conference room or video conference space, clicks one button to join, and we're automatically connected with that back-end technology. Good. The second thing we did in the spring release for self-service video conferencing was our integration with Skype for Business. We've also seen a huge adoption of Skype for Business in our customers. We have adopted it at EMS ourselves. It's really a different approach to engaging with remote employees or colleagues. So what we did was allow the configuration of Skype for Business on the expert user side, but then again, just like Exchange Room Integration, everyday users simply do what they do already, which is utilize the web app or the mobile app, as we're seeing here on this slide. At the left is the web app. Create a reservation, invite attendees, and simply toggle the Skype for Business button there you'll see on the lower left or mid-right of the screen to add Skype for Business details to that meeting. So everyone that's invited can join, whether they're in the office or remote. This is also available through Microsoft Outlook, utilizing the Skype for Business add-in along with the EMS add-in to add details of a Skype for Business meeting. So we are first to market with this integration with Skype for Business, and it's really beginning to take off.
Yeah.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Thomas. Another piece of the spring release was redesigned EMS Room Sign app, formerly known as Glance. We made improvements to the user experience, such as you can see on the right, there's now a portrait mode, which has an agenda view. We've improved the look, we've simplified it, we've improved the time pickers, the overall usability of it. We've also made it easier for you to modify your branding on the back end. So being able to customize and make it look like your own room signs is much easier with this particular version of the Room Sign app.
So this is Thomas. I'll talk about our platform services. So when we introduced EMS platform services, we talked about its power as a true middle tier into the EMS platform. And we started development actually in January, moving our mobile app to utilize platform services to access EMS. In that time frame, we began working with our third-party developers to actually understand, and customers to understand their customizations and what they needed from the platform to actually continue their work internally or with the third parties. So that was our first focus. With the June release, with our spring release, we actually got a majority of our third-party partners up and running with that. That was our first focus, and it has proven to be a true middle tier. So the important thing to take away, as we mentioned before when we introduced it, was we also are moving all of our access points to platform services over time so that we are utilizing the same APIs that any integrator or third party would use. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in terms of fall later on.
Great, thanks, Thomas. As I mentioned before, we see EMS as the only enterprise-class scheduling room and resource platform. And we introduced this particular visual last time around when we introduced the spring release. And I think what's important to note here is this really is the way that we view EMS as we do development, as we expand it, and as we talk to our customers about what they want EMS to do. You know, you've got the access points there in the lower left, various different ways to get into the data and for expert and everyday users to access the data. We continue to improve on system integrations, what we have available, what our partners have available. But it's really the main piece in the middle there that you see around the use cases. For us, it's very important to say, how are people using this? How can we continue to improve on each one of these types of use cases to make the experience more intuitive, to make it faster, to make it more seamless with the way that your business operates? When we think about, say, the fall release, and we look at the impact on the release, you can see that this time around, quite a few of those use cases are impacted in some way, whether it's self-service conference rooms, whether it's video conferencing, again, services and resources or catering. The parts and pieces that we'll be talking about today have an impact on those ways in which you're using EMS, as well as you can see down below for access points, the kiosks, and the calendars. So without more introduction, let's move into the first of our three use cases, self-service booking in Outlook. EMS for Microsoft Outlook is not a new development. We've had it since the mid-2000s, and the reason it exists is because your users are comfortable and familiar with scheduling in Microsoft Outlook. But as you know, and as we know, Outlook has its limitations. It doesn't really understand the concept of space beyond the title and the ability to add certain limits to requests and time horizons. It's not built to manage the realities of today's complex workspaces. There's too many calendars, there's too little information, and there's no reporting capability. And that's where EMS comes in. So that said, I'd like to introduce Matt James, the product owner for EMS for Microsoft Outlook, EMS for Microsoft Outlook, and to walk us through the tool and provide us a demo of what's new. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Larry. So as Larry mentioned, we're really trying with EMS for Outlook to enhance the native Outlook experience. By that I mean, with rooms managed in Native Exchange, you're very limited in terms of what kind of booking rules you can apply. So Exchange only lets you control how far into the future somebody can book a room, for example. With the EMS platform, of course, we can control not only the date range, but number of bookings per day, number of bookings per date range, the length of those bookings, etc. The other thing is for more complex organizations that have more than a handful of rooms, finding those rooms in native Outlook can sometimes be quite cumbersome. There is no real filtering option to say, give me a room in the Denver office on the 6th floor that has a Microsoft Surface Hub. That's not really available in Exchange, and one of the benefits to using EMS for Outlook. The other main point of EMS for Outlook is to really create a one-stop shop. So not only can a user book their attendees and meeting requests in Outlook, with EMS for Outlook, they can also find an available space, book that space, and also book resources such as AV equipment, catering, with this release, visitors as well, as we'll talk about here shortly, and send all those out from Outlook as a meeting request as you normally would. Another key feature is that if a room's not available for every date in a series, we also have a conflict resolution process to help prevent the user from not having a room for certain dates. And of course, all this is going into the EMS database through the EMS platform. When you have all your utilization and space data in a centralized source, that gives you very rich and robust reports that you can use for analysis of your real estate utilization and ultimately save you money in your organization. So as Larry mentioned, this has been out for a while, and what we're doing with this fall release is actually rebuilding EMS from Outlook for Outlook from the ground up. So one of the goals is that we wanted it to have a more native look and feel for Outlook. We didn't want the user to feel like they're stepping out of the booking process in Outlook to book a room or resources. Along with that, we've simplified the workflows to really guide the user through the process and make it as streamlined as possible. We've pulled in some of the functionality from the scheduling assistant into the add-in itself. Again, one-stop shop and simplifying workflows. We've also taken this opportunity to really enhance the service order management, so how you order catering, AV, etc. We've really improved on that. And we've also added support for the visitor management module within EMS. For those organizations that do visitor management in EMS for external attendees, maybe you need to get badges printed at the front desk, etc. We now support that as well. During this user experience overhaul, we of course took the opportunity to modernize the backend technology. Most importantly, EMS for Outlook is now consuming the EMS platform services middle tier, which is a great step in both the development of EMS for Outlook and also EMS platform services itself. So the demo I'm about to do for you today, we're going to start with a simple use case, booking a single room with attendees with an exchange, as well as some services. I'm going to order some lunch, and I'll show you the visitor management piece as part of that use case as well. And then the second demonstration is going to be scheduling a recurrence or a series where the room I want is not available for all dates. So you can see what the conflict resolution process looks like. So without further ado, I'll share my screen. Just a moment. Okay. To load. Here we go. So the first case, as I mentioned, is I'm going to start a new meeting request. I'm going to intentionally leave all the fields here blank, with the exception of adding a Skype meeting. Of course, since I have the Skype integration configured, the Skype information is actually going to be saved on the EMS reservation once I book and save a room. So one of the first things I want to highlight is that now adding and removing favorite rooms is as simple as clicking these hearts within the add-in itself. We've also improved the filtering process, so users can easily see at a glance which filters have been applied. In this case, I have these personalized for this template. But if I need to, I can also filter for other buildings, maybe if I'm booking a video conference or I'm visiting somewhere other than my home office, and then have access to the other filters like we have in the web app, such as floors, features, etc. So coming into my schedule view, remember I have not added any attendees yet, so I'm actually going to start doing that from here. I'm going to add Larry to my meeting. Let's invite Thomas as well. But I'd love for Thomas to come. I know he's busy, so we'll just let him know he's going to be optional. So I can see that we're all available at this time. I can extend the date simply by dragging on the schedule view here. Once I find an appropriate time when my attendees and a room is also available, I can just click the plus to add that room. Since I did not supply a subject when I created the appointment, the add-in is recognizing that and prompting me for that information. If I had other required user-defined fields or did not default an event type, etc., I'd be prompted for that information as well. So once my room is selected, I can then come to my Services tab. So the first thing you'll see here is my visitor management component. So can add the information as need be, and of course this is going to respect any customized labels that you may have configured for visitor management in your database. Can add my attendee, and then it's just as simple as entering the other people. Once I complete the reservation process, these will be saved as attendees, just as if they had been added from the web app or the desktop client. Scrolling down, we can see my catering categories. So I'm going to add some lunch here. You'll see the estimated attendance is 3. That's based on the fact that I have 3 people included on the meeting. Of course, I can adjust that if I know some people are definitely going to be remote. You may notice the service time is different than my time here. Reason being is that I'm actually booking from Central Time. So I'm based in Texas, but I'm booking in the Denver office. So local time of this reservation is going to be 11 to noon. So I'm going to select some sandwiches. And 3 of those for our 3 attendees. And add to cart. Once I'm complete with the process, what I have to do is send. And the attendees all receive the invitation directly from me. So that was booking a simple meeting with attendees, services, and a look at visitor management. Now we're going to look at booking a short series. So I'm just going to do a 3-day meeting. And we're going to invite Larry to this as well. Again, go to my EMS Room Manager. $5,003B, that's my favorite. I can see it's not available for all my dates, but that's okay. I want to select it for the dates it is available. And then let the add-in let me know what is available for the days that I have not selected. So I can easily resolve that conflict. And you can see that I have the 2 rooms selected here. So really our goal in this add-in is to prevent the user from ever getting into a state where they have a booking that's in a conflict status, and the location in the appointment reflects that they have that space. This is how you run into situations where space is quote unquote double booked, where people think they have it booked when they really don't. So this is a step towards avoiding that completely. Once I have my conflict resolved, I'm going to just send out the appointment. You'll see here 5003B for the 2 days it was available. The day it was not, I have room 1203. And with that, I will turn it back over to Larry.
All right. Thanks, Matt. And it looks like I'll be seeing you in several meetings now.
You're welcome.
So that is the updated EMS for Outlook. Let's talk about on-the-spot booking via kiosk, our second use case. So for self-service bookings for the mobile workplace, kiosks have become an increasingly popular method to improve employee productivity. Praj Kulkarni is our product owner for EMS Kiosk App. Praj, please tell us more about the app itself and about what's new in the fall release.
Great. Thanks, Larry. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. So the EMS Kiosk App is a web-based application that's designed to be deployed on large touchscreens that's typically placed in an entryway or lobby. You see on the screen right there a sample kiosk, and the image you see is actually our software that will be available in the fall release. There are two groups of people who might care about the EMS Kiosk App. The first are employees. When they use the EMS Kiosk, they're trying to get work done, do certain actions. I've identified some of the key workflows that employees might take advantage of. Check into their workspace. So you've made a reservation the night before, a couple of days before, you walk into your office and you want to check into your workspace or a meeting room. You want to be able to reserve a workspace or meeting room. So quickly find what's available, maybe see a map, maybe see it in a list, and go ahead and make the reservation. Another use case is in this free desking, hoteling environment where people are not typically sitting in the same place every day. You still have to work with people. I may be on a project with Larry or Matt, and I need to find where they're sitting, see what their availability is, and book a space near them. And finally, you walk into the busy floor of your office, and you want to know what is happening. What are the key meetings? What are the key events? Where are they being held? So see what's happening in the office today. So those are for employees who want to do traditional work activities. Executives also care a lot about the EMS Kiosk App. Of course, they care about productivity. They want their employees to be productive. And they do so by doing some of the actions I described above. But perhaps even more importantly, executives want to impress clients, current employees, prospects by creating a sleek, modern, futuristic workplace. And so with our new redesigned software, which is much more visually appealing, hitting on many of the user experience themes that Larry alluded to earlier, they can do that. So if you can, thank you, Larry. We think of the kiosk as being deployed in 3 different spaces. We call them conference centers, conference rooms, and workspaces. From left to right, you can think of that being a relatively more public area where you might not be doing productivity actions like reserving and checking in, and where branding and being very visually appealing and projecting your image is very, very important in conference centers. Conference rooms are kind of a hybrid where it may be public, but you still have to reserve. And workspaces and desks, which are typically not public, the productivity aspects of the Kiosk app are very important, and branding is relatively less so. Our existing Kiosk app traditionally was only suited for workspaces, whereas now we have created an app that can run the full gamut of different spaces, and it can be very well deployed in both a public or a workspace type environment. Here are some of the key features. As I said before, the top few I've already described. Check into your meetings, see your reservations, reserve a workspace for either a day or the week, and I want to highlight that this is configurable. Locate where someone is sitting, see the day's event. There are a couple auxiliary features as well. Number 1, view local information, local events, train schedules, so on and so forth, and also translate to a regional language. And finally, as we've said, executives can use the kiosk to project their brand. Like so much in EMS, the kiosk app is highly configurable. You have your logos, your backgrounds, that is expected. But also the initial display that users see when they walk up to the kiosk, that is highly configurable. Whether it's in a conference center, conference room, or a workspace, you can prioritize different workflows depending on the location of the kiosk. How you display floor plans, which floor plans you display are configurable. The kiosk has its own set of booking rules. So some of our customers want to use the kiosk to only allow same-day reservations. You walk into the office, you reserve a workspace for the day, and that's it. Others may allow their users to reserve for the week and do recurrence reservations. So the kiosk app can be configured in both of those ways. Some other things you can do in addition to check-in, when you go to your reservations, you can end or cancel your reservations. That is configurable, and also how far in advance you can do so from the kiosk app. So now I'm going to go into a brief demo for the kiosk app. I'm going to show you the home screen and describe how it might be configured, show you today's events, and view and explore a floor plan. So I'm going to, give me a second, please, while I hop into the demo. Great. What you see before you is what I call the default page view for the kiosk app. I personally like it a lot. You see these very large buttons, so users can very quickly see what actions they might be taking. You can arrange the order of these buttons to prioritize things from left to right. You also see an auxiliary feature in the top called Location Info, which opens up something like a train map. You can also add, as I said, local restaurants and sites, depending on the use case. So this is one way to configure the EMS Kiosk app. If you wanted, if, for example, checking in was the primary workflow where this kiosk was placed on a workspace area, you could have this as your primary main screen, your default home screen, where the other functions, instead of the big boxes, the other functions would be listed across the bottom with their icons. So here's the home screen. As I said, I'm going to show you today's events. So some customers actually have this as their default screen. So this is the first image that users see when they walk up to the kiosk. If you have dozens of or hundreds of events happening in the area today, you can filter by certain events. Only see what's happening in the collaboration areas. You can then reset the filters. Now finally, what I'd like to talk about is floor plans. A lot of feedback we got from the existing kiosk app, the legacy kiosk, is that the floor plans weren't as visually appealing and even as useful as they could be. So what we tried to do is expand the amount of area that it is using. So when users walk up to it, they can quickly see available spaces and take certain actions and see what is happening. So here you see, as an example, a single floor plan. You can actually have multiple, and you can also filter by them. And you see how it nicely fills up the full available area. You can click on a floor plan and see what's available. And again, this provides a very nice display for your kiosk. So to summarize the demo I've given, I've described the home screen, showed you an auxiliary function, described how you can configure the home screen in various ways, showed you today's events, and also floor plan.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah. So for our third and final use case, we'd like to talk about integrating with the EMS platform. Thomas, what is new with EMS platform services?
Sure. So just continuing where we started before, let's talk about what's new in this fall release. First and foremost, the two demos you saw with our kiosk and with Outlook, those are both utilizing EMS platform services to communicate to EMS. So again, this is an iterative development. For us, it will be ongoing until all access points and EMS clients are actually utilizing platform services to communicate through that middle tier. The other thing that we have seen, if you want to go next, Larry, is we've also continued to focus on our third-party partners, outside developers, new partners. So our APIs and EMS platform services have now grown to nearly 300 available APIs. So it's fueling our internal development. It's also fueling external development. So what we've seen with a couple of these new partners of ours is how quickly they're able to integrate with EMS and bring online other systems directly into the EMS platform. One example there that we talk about is Resource Express. Resource Express is a UK-based company that manufactures room display appliances. So there's digital room signs that also include status lighting and RFID integration. They've been able to actually quickly get up to speed and work with us to actually integrate our room appliances with the EMS platform directly. And we've seen it. It's exactly what we hoped to achieve when we first talked about platform services, and it's actually coming to fruition. So we're very excited about that. It's really speeding up integration with external systems. So let's go on and go ahead and talk about upgrade considerations and summary. We can go on from there. Thanks, Larry. So first and foremost, to have any of what you've seen today, you need to upgrade to our fall release. That is specific for Outlook is available for anyone who is a current Outlook customer. The same is true for Kiosk. If you're using our former legacy version of our Kiosk, this is available to you as part of your maintenance or subscription license with us. So along with that, we'll be actually providing what's new, best practices, release notes for all of these, and you can find those for this or any release at success.emssoftware.com. So we always recommend that customers plan and test these integrations on their test servers to make sure that everything is working as expected and to let us know if something's not working as expected. So Larry, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Thomas. So as always, our professional services team is at the ready to assist you with this upgrade. As we have announced for the past several releases, we have a few basic packages. The first package from professional services is around essentially upgrading to your test environment, going over the documentation and some use cases, and then helping you move that into production. Package 2 does the same thing as package 1, but it throws in a number of features around if you need help with maybe perhaps some training, some videos, some take-home materials to help your users more quickly update to this version. That's about package 2. Package 3 is really the kitchen sink. You have a lot of custom work already done, so a lot of some configurations done, and you're sort of above and beyond the standard versions of EMS. We're there to help you with those special needs, and that's through your account manager can help you with that. Now, you probably want to know, when can I get my hands on this? We're looking at about 2 weeks, so an estimated date is October 13th. As always, the primary contacts from your organization receive an email notification. We'll follow that in a couple of days, or depending on probably the same day, with a more marketing notification to you, and that notification will have links to some more general pages about what's new, as well as some videos and some FAQs. The software can be downloaded, as always, from our customer portal, our support portal. Cloud services, just to note, if you are a cloud services for EMS customer, you'll receive a slightly separate email as we'll be pushing it out to your test environment for you. You'll receive some separate instructions on your next steps. If you don't know who your account manager is, and we encourage you to contact your account manager, it's pretty simple to find out. Anywhere on the EMS public website, there's a Contact Us form in the upper right corner. You can just click Contact. Under Type of Questions, select Account Manager, provide some details. Hey, saw the demo, really excited, want to learn more about fall release, whatever you want to put there, and your account manager will follow up within a couple of days. I would be remiss as a marketer if not to mention EMS Live. We're about 3 weeks away, and EMS Live is in Atlanta, Georgia this year, mid-October at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. If you are interested in our products, where we're going with it, what we're doing with it, what these new releases are, there's no better place, the timing's perfect, there's no better place than to go to EMS Live. For example, we have a revitalized play area with around 10 to 12 different stations where you can go up and you can actually play with some of the things you've seen today and some of the things we talked about in previous releases. as well as some innovative things, some of the integrations we've done with our hardware and software partners. We also have sessions from our product management team like Matt and Thomas and others. We're going to be specifically talking in longer form sessions around these products, the ones you're using, the ones you're interested in, and they are there to answer your questions. And finally, we'll have a keynote from our development leaders discussing the roadmap into late 2018. So those are things not to miss, and there's still time to register via the EMS website. Now, somebody is going to be very lucky on this webcast. Thank you for attending. We're going to draw one winner who will get a free pass to EMS Live, and we'll announce that if not tomorrow, on Monday or Tuesday to give you enough time. And we're just very excited to have you there and to be able to address your questions. So speaking of questions, we have some time here, Q&A section. We have a bunch of questions that come in. I'm going to start with one for Matt. Matt, Jen wrote, in Outlook, what if we don't want to pick a room to resolve a conflict?
Sure. So we do allow the user to skip conflict resolution if they need to. So if the room they want is not available, they want to figure it out later, they don't have time to do it now, they can actually skip that room. It's going to go into what we call the quote-unquote none room, so just kind of a holding tank in the database, and the location in the Outlook appointment is going to remain blank so that they know they don't have a location booked for those dates. And we'll have additional documentation available around this feature.
All right, thanks. Here's a question from Jim for Praj. In the kiosk, how will my users ID themselves when they make a reservation? Can they use a badge? And, oh, Praj?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. That's a great question. Absolutely, you can use a badge. We actually support multiple forms of identification, but especially for our corporate customers, badge is very common. It has already been deployed at many of our existing kiosk customers, and we tested extensively with it. So I recommend badge, in fact. It's a very seamless experience for your employees.
All right. Here's another question from Wendy for you, Praj. If I put the kiosk in my conference area and allow my employees to make a reservation, is there a place to capture attendees?
Currently, there is no way to capture attendees. The only information we capture is the person making the reservation.
Okay. All right. Thomas, do you want a question from Jonathan?
We have a question from Jonathan Clancy. Is EMS for Outlook an option for EMS professional clients? And also, is kiosk available to EMS professional clients? The answer to the kiosk is yes, it is. The answer to the Outlook question is really dependent. The issue is not whether it's supported. The issue is around process templates. So it would probably be best to talk to your account manager to find out the options. There are some pro packs available now that can make it really easy to allow Outlook. So technically, yes, it is available, but it is an issue of the however many process templates you currently have.
Okay. Here's a question from Matt. Since self-service bookings in Outlook are available for everyday users, at what point does an expert user get to confirm the request before Outlook sends the meeting out to all attendees?
So it does not. So that is one caveat that you need to be aware of when using managed space templates in EMS for Outlook. So the appointment or the meeting invitation is going to go out with the requested space as is. So this typically works best for organizations where the approvals happen relatively quickly. There's a defined process for that. The rooms don't change a lot. However, if the room does have to change and the expert user and the desktop client does change the location, that will be reflected in the updated appointment. As far as communicating once the reservation and bookings are confirmed, of course, that would need to go through the standard process of sending out an email confirmation to the organizer upon that approval.
Great, thanks, Matt. Thomas, we have a question from Tim, who says they haven't yet installed EMS platform services. Will we need to do that to use the new EMS plugin features?
Yes, you will, Tim. So platform services is included with our release, as it has been since June for mobile, or sorry, since January for mobile and in June for as part of the general release. There are two variations of platform. So every customer can utilize platform when they're just working with EMS access points or clients. Development is another package. I'll let Larry, are you comfortable?
Yeah, sure. And this actually goes to a question that Steve asked as well related to that. Steve has the old API. So if you're going to be using EMS platform services as it underlies the architecture for the new components, there's no charge. It comes with it. You need it. You have to have it. It's installed. It's when you draw the line where you say, we want to use this to develop. We want to use it as an API to link to one of our custom mobile apps, or we wish to use it to create something else or to make an integration. So in those cases, it is a separate license, and I would refer you over to your account manager. All right. You know, I want to address one question. It's a slightly off from the fall release, but Jennifer asked an early question about the Room Sign app, and I want to make sure, Jennifer, that you get noticed. You mentioned around the bar graph, the new Room Sign app that we released in the spring is very interactive. As you click on that bar along the bottom, you will see that the meeting information will pop up. So it's much more, it's a cleaner interface, but it's very much the information you need is available with just a tap on the right area. So all of that is still available. With that, Thomas, any other questions? I think we've gotten through our questions. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Thomas and Matt and Praj for all their work and their contributions today. And I'd like to thank everyone attending this webcast for joining us to learn about the fall 2017 release. We'll see you soon. Have a great day.